Okay. 5 minutes. This is a crouching pose. Somewhat challenging. Already not off to a good start, but let's embrace the challenge. I like the contortion here, the twisting. The chest. Let's represent the pelvis here. We've got a lot of camera distortion happening. So basically, when I talk about that, that just basically means that the things that are close to the camera are bigger, and the things that are farther away are smaller. It's like, well, of course that makes sense. That's normal. But when I go to figure drawing classes, first off, when I go to figure drawing workshops, and that's pretty far and few between anyway when I do that, I definitely need to make more of a habit of it, of actually going. But I'm usually the last one to arrive, and all the quote-unquote good seats are taken, right? Well, it turns out that unless you are visually handicapped, and it's okay if you are, but let the people who are visually handicapped sit in the close-up seats. The reality is, if you're too close to the model, you're going to get a lot of distortion in your drawings, in your proportions. Which is fine if you are understanding that that's what you're going to be doing. Most people, I think, who sit close up aren't aware that what they're seeing is distorted, and thus they try to start applying a bunch of corrections as they go. They're like, okay, the proportions for this are this, and the proportions for that are that. But then they look up at the model, and it's completely different. So what do? So they end up correcting things. They're like, oh, well, this is supposed, how come this is bigger than this? So they change it so that it isn't, but then the whole drawing just looks weird. If you sit at the back of the class, you'll see the whole model with less distortion. And it's going to be more in line with where you expect the proportions to line up, academically speaking, right? Like, look how far away I have to draw this. Like, this wrist in the hand is so small because there's so much distortion in this pose. And that's fine because, like, I guess a lot of, like, people want to use this stuff for, like, comic book poses and stuff. And so you can get, like, dynamicness, right? But I don't know if that's... Not everybody is necessarily expecting that as the outcome when they go into a figure drawing class, right? It's like maybe they've been studying anatomy from a book, and then they get in there and they're like super excited to show what they know or what they've studied. And then if you're sitting at the front of the class, and there's all this distortion, but you don't know it's distortion, you just think, it's all there right in front of me. I'm drawing what I see and nothing's lining up. You won't necessarily know why it's not working. So do what I do. Show up late to class, sit in the back where all the empty seats are, and you'll never have a problem seeing the full figure. And sometimes some people like sitting in the front because the figure isn't blocked. But where other people are blocking the figure, that's your opportunity to show your ability to invent what you don't see. That's the most important part of the application of figure drawing, is figure invention. And too many people just ignore that. Okay, this next pose is It's a lovely pose. Okay, I'm going to try and draw a woman who she's wearing a costume. She may not be wearing a lot of costume, but the pose is lovely, and I think we can make it a learning moment. As long as I just don't draw nipples, we're probably okay, right? Show up late, sit in the back. That's my advice. Also, the first rounds of poses that they do in figure drawing classes are always the fastest ones. And that's great if, like, that's really your forte. A lot of people love the fast poses because they have that as an excuse not to make a good drawing, and that is a good excuse. Not like the whole point of it is to not make a good drawing sometimes. But I don't necessarily consider those great opportunities for learning much, honestly. If everything is so abstracted. Oh, here I did the wrong thing by drawing the portrait of the face first, which is not. That's not what I recommend. Okay, pelvis. I can draw a bikini on her, I suppose, if I really need to. It's really interesting. You guys can't quite see it, but I've got her shoulders here leaning over. Her body is well balanced, which means that this hip is bearing the weight, and it's higher than this hip. Even though it's a little hard to tell that from the picture because of the angle of distortion, the angle of the camera and the distortion on the lens and all that stuff that I'm complaining about. So I'm going to draw a very This is good. The hard challenge of this is going to be avoiding drawing any nudity when it's right in front of me, and I tend to draw automatically. She's kind of holding these interesting fairy wings that are going out. There's a lot of fun drapery happening. Yeah, don't forget the socks, right? How would I do that? I suppose if I just kind of do one of these Jessica Rabbit type situations, right? We can kind of see the flow of the rib cage a little bit, right? Belly button here. Yeah, that's kind of like it, right? There she is. She's kind of got clothes on now. Okay, that was that pose. We have a new pose. Set that one aside. This one is challenging. This one is a reclining, interesting pose. Okay. Whoa. Whoa. Okay. It's unhelpful. Okay. Weird glitchy thing happened, but we're okay. Sort of a gestural orb for the head. This woman is slender. She's sort of reclined. She's sort of in a belly dancer outfit. In a pose like this, there's really no line of action that I can... You know, the line of action is like this. And she's like resting on pillows. It's like the body is basically just a piece of drapery in this pose. And that's great. That's fine. There's like a lot of opportunity for learning here nonetheless. Everything's topsy-turvy, though, for me, so... What brush tool am I using? This is kind of a little brush it's a heavily modified version of one of the standard tools in Corel Painter. It's essentially a wedge brush, but it can dynamically change its angle and shape depending on if I hold it like this, it makes a line like this. And if I hold it like this, it makes a line like this, which is interesting. Essentially, it can create a large variety of different shapes without having to switch between brushes. Boy. Upside down faces. I don't know if I'm gonna do this one much justice, but super challenging poses are part of it. Models love reclined poses because they can just relax and do nothing, which is understandable, right? It's super hard to stay still, even upright or sitting. It's super hard. Then her rib cages are poking out there. It might be better to have a model used to yoga. Yeah, the a model that is fit, and it's interesting because it's like that doesn't equate to necessarily skinny. Some people just actually it all tends to from what I can tell, it really you need a model with good core strength, and that isn't necessarily a skinny model. Plus size models can definitely have core strength, and they can hold their own. So there's I wouldn't say there's like a formula or a specific body type that works best. Okay, we are, this model I'd say is a a good model. She's once again in this next pose. For whatever reason, sometimes there's the same model twice in a row. And here we can see that she's quite fit and has pretty developed musculature. She's quite skinny. A little bit ripped I think is the appropriate term. Or lanky, but it's hard to tell how tall someone is without a specific frame of reference. But she has abs, for instance. I can count her abs, and I can see that she has a striation in her muscles on her deltoids, her shoulders, essentially. So definitely a good candidate for someone who either does a lot of yoga or Pilates or something. She's kind of seated here. Leg going up. She's skinny fit. She's fit. She looks like she has a very specific type of diet. What that diet, I couldn't tell you what it is, but very conscious nutritionally. Like, if I was in this pose, I would fall over because I'm top heavy. And it's not due to muscle. It's, but here, like, you could see that the weight distribution here is like, she's on the floor here. And it's like, her feet are like glued to the ground here. Like, I can sense that. She's an interesting I hate to say it, she almost looks like she's a little emaciated, but not without lots of muscle either. So it just, okay, here's what she reminds me of. You know, when people are when they go on Survivor and they come out and they haven't eaten, they've been on like deficit calories for like 30 days straight. And like previously people have they're fit, but they have some body fat on them. But then they come out of Survivor and they've lost like 20 pounds and they weren't very fat to start with. So they've got then just, you can see all the striation, and she's tan too. So, you just see a lot. And yeah, here's like all these abs showing themselves. Overrepresented here in my little sketch, but so she could be, for instance, a professional dancer. She kind of, people who can hold their bodies in this way tend to be. Yeah, she has no water weight. She probably is very controlled, for whatever reason, in the amount of sodium that she intakes, for better or for worse. Okay, that's a decent sketch for her. Okay, and here's another pose from a different person. This will be interesting. quick glance over at my emails, make sure no one's trying to reach me. For better or for worse, my clients are being a little quiet. But there's no meetings on the calendar. Staying fresh and ready for a drawing emergency is a good use of the time, I think. This is an interesting pose. She sort of has this interiorly rotated shoulder happening here. Sort of leaning on the floor. And again, a lot of distortion. I guess I would call this sort of like a, you guys know that game Twister? This is like a Twister pose. Or maybe like something you'd expect from like, from like a superhero. Like maybe she's like trying to pose like she's Spider-Woman or something like that, But yeah, she's got her back foot on green and her front foot on red and her front hand on red and her back hand on blue or something like that, Sort of a challenge, like an expression of confidence but danger. Both, all three limbs coming forward, one shooting back. Breast is here. It's covered. She's not naked. There's no nudity. She looks like she is stretching her lower leg. Is that what's happening? Or yeah, her yeah, this is sort of like a deep lunge. She's a little bit like in a raggedy sort of... I wouldn't be surprised if she was trying to channel some like Tarzan vibes. And that'll happen, is like it's a costume. The photographer says, hey, can, let's think, you're... You've been raised by wolves, whatever the like story or the analogy is. That's the inspiration, right? So knee is here, and then back leg shooting back. Forearm here. Coming forward. Fingers splaying out. Yeah, jungle savage babe. For like a Frazetta type. I'm sure we all get the reference, but... And that pose is done. I'm just going to finish up with the leg a little bit. Okay. And And here's another one of the same model, but she's in a different pose, and I think it's a cool pose. So let's keep going. Oop. Undo that. Now what's interesting here, let me pause this for a second, just to sort of revisit some things. You know, this is the sketch, but if like the information in the sketch is accurate, then this should look good if I just double up on top of itself. And then the same thing with the rest of these. Oop. Right? Oop. And I guess what I'd say I'd like to impress upon anybody who is watching and curious is that I don't make a big deal about making the... I don't try to control for the accuracy of the stroke as well as the value of the stroke at the same time. I don't think that isn't actually necessary with like digital tools, right? You don't need to... Like, you can make an accurate stroke, and the value only has to be accurate relative to the other values that you put on. If it feels like the values... Like, control is something that sometimes works against... Controlling your value as you're putting down the tones is not the same thing. Well, it's like, that's extra work compared to, like, just try to get the information in the right place and the tones relatively accurate to each other, but not in a way that requires you to press super hard when you're doing it, right? Especially if you're going to be figure drawing a long time. Like, use a light touch. You don't need to make everything look super dark and reading clearly at a distance right off the bat. At least I don't do it that way. You know, give yourself a break. Okay. Okay. Back to Jungle Babe. I guess she's kind of like Gladiator Babe, because now she's got her she's got a sword here. Okay, press play. Jump in. For real, for real. Okay. So this is a good one. Again, there's distortion. I'll stop complaining about that, I guess, but it's a good one for like a full body sketch. Put the back foot supporting most of the weight. There's a front foot coming out, but she's on her tiptoes there. And so that isn't supporting her weight. Her back foot here is supporting her weight. And that's to me like a really solid start to a sketch. Got the line of action, head, you know, torso, pelvis kind of lined up. Get some of these things where they should be. Head pointing this way, chest here, very clearly pointing this way. Pelvis here, very clearly pointing this way. The pelvis is angled here, so say it with me. The shoulders go at the opposite way. And she has a sword that she's also leaning on, so that's fun and interesting. She's not really leaning on it, she's resting her hand on it. Which is interesting, because here she kind of has her hand on this hip, but this isn't what you would normally do. Normally you would have your hand, you would rest your other hand on this hip, right? You could imagine if I drew it like that that would look natural, right? I'm going to undo those brush strokes the hard way. suck up way too much time. But I think it's important to sort of highlight, like make clear that in the first few strokes with like the line of action and just laying down all this is all the information you need to complete a pose. If the timer runs out early or whatever, you know, that's fine. You don't need it. Okay, yeah, she's got her little strange loincloth. It's like drooping and dripping everywhere. Belly button here. Bottom of the rib cage here. And now she's got her hand. Placed there. Elbow, then arm cuts back in. Ah, this is fun. Something I didn't quite realize till just now is that this arm is pointing back in space completely. Fun. Okay, it's the same model again. I might not use this. I almost liked the other one that we were doing the other day better. The stuff from Quick Poses. Only because it feels like I'm just getting the same model again and again and again. Or I'll just have to open it up to just all the nude models, because I know there's a ton of them on this one. But if they're nude, it's trickier to... Maybe it's not trickier. I just have to invent some clothes on them. All right. Add swimsuits, yeah. But like, if having interesting clothes on the model was a prerequisite, then this isn't the one, because they're not very varied. They're not varied at all, and they are nothing a neatly wrapped towel can't fix. Yeah. But I still want the towel to look good, and then that's just like extra information. I think the challenge is like when you're forcing yourself to draw quickly, I don't necessarily want to make time to draw that, you know. Even right here, I lament having to draw the unnecessary information. It's okay, though. I mean, having information that that describes drapery on the form is not bad to do. It's all good practice. At this point, I wonder if these clients are gonna need me at all today. The clients that have me today are in New York, right? So, like, if it's 12:30 where I am, then it's 3:30 where they are on Valentine's Day. It's like, no way they, well, it's not no way, but it's like, what am I supposed to do? They're searching far and wide. Yeah. Me making changes as I go. This pose is tricky, and I drew it wrong, so. It may not be something I do today, but I actually went ahead and did some downloading of... I found some interesting, basically still screens from UFC fights, just random ones. But essentially, you know, you've got two guys that are essentially posing next to each other, in interesting ways. And it's something I've studied in the past. Like, okay, there's a lot of dynamism, and you know, they're trying to evade and attack each other at the same time. So there's a lot of interesting posing that happens. Okay, this one's a good one. Boy, once you learn to live without the undo button, it's like drawing on hard mode. Every stroke counts. That's what I say. So this is our sort of very, let's just call her super fit girl, but she's super skinny. There's an outdated, I'm sure, but it's an old artistic term of a body type, ectomorph, basically a person who basically has no fat on their body, or very little fat. Here I am drawing a portrait. That's not what I'm supposed to do. Okay. Line of action is actually something like that. And then she is super skinny. So the taper of her body is quite dramatic. She's kind of like a skinnier, because Jessica Biel, the actress, I would describe certainly fit, but also like kind of has, you know, when she's fit and, you know, sort of in superhero form, sort of a natural fit for it. Or what is that girl's name? The girl who played Supergirl. Is it Melissa Benoit or something like that? She is a, you know, essentially girl with shoulders on her. And, you know, not to their detriment. Because of the thing she's wearing, I cannot see her leg. And I'd estimate the foot to go right about there. And then the other foot is basically shooting out, ending up right here. Okay, after this, we're going to do another reset, and I'm going to do, I'm just going to do the nude figures, but I'm going to do them, I won't depict them as naked. I'll figure out a shorthand for a bathing suit, that'll work out. Because the mental space that I'm taking up doing the drapery isn't translating into much for me. Let's see, her super thinness and her belly button is like right here. Okay, that was that. And then that's a pose I've even drawn before, so these are getting a little repetitive. We're gonna stop this session. And yeah. Okay, we'll go back here. Yeah, she's somewhat brawny, I would say. That was her. Okay, we're gonna do, I feel like 6 minutes would be better, but they don't have an option for 6 minutes. We'll stick with 5. That's a good thing. Okay, model names. Keep all the model names as they are. So we're open to all models, open to all genders. And we will do, let's just do the nude. And maybe that'll be, we'll open it up to all things. So this might include like just hands, you know, we'll see. All model poses, all model perspectives, all model views, all props, and we'll just do, we'll do 5 minutes. We'll see how this goes. Okay, so we'll save. Okay, let's see here. Take a little drink of water. Turn these off. Actually, I'll turn everything back on, but I'll save this. I'll start a new image. Yeah. But because I'm drawing with like light strokes, my hand is not, it's just loosened up. It's nice. There's no like if I was pushing hard down, trying to get like some real darkness into every stroke, it would work against what I'm. It works against the looseness. It's like too controlled and too much pressure, right? All right, I'm going to fire her up, but we're going to do another reset. Here I am. Okay, let's try this one more time. This has a little bit of a lag on it. Let me reconnect the device. A little better. Okay, that's good. Okay. Oh, hello there. We're going to do some figure drawing. Let's jump in. And my references are going to be up here, and you can't see them. And we're going to start in just a second. 5-minute sketches. Isn't it nice when you can just start a stream? You just start it. Okay, this is a great one. And there's no pressure. And we're not using the undo button either, so that's a little extra challenge. Okay, head and then line of action. Straight up and down. Oh, I forgot to hit the start button. Start. Okay, so timer is going 5 minutes. And 5 minutes is actually plenty, so I'm not going to stress about time. This is plenty of time. This model is a view from the back, and I'm going to not draw her nude, even though she is not wearing clothes in this photograph. All my references are cited are from reputable professional model. These are professional models. Everything is legit. There's no no chance of any anything being salacious or undesirable in the sourcing of this artistic reference material. Yeah, they're professionals, professional models. If I can, I try to draw the whole figure. Oh, shoot. Let's remember to put on a bathing suit on everybody, huh? So. Or at least a sport bra. It's a shame that we have to do that. It's a real shame, but I don't make the rules. Got her hair in a bun. Foot on her tiptoes. It feels like a very natural pose for like a dancer to get into, and in fact I feel like a lot of art models are dancers, sort of comfortable with the artisticness of it. To make obvious the intent of the presence of the bathing suit, unfortunately, especially in this one, since I didn't do a good job of starting it out that way. There's some lovely shading happening here on the her form that I think now I can attempt to honor. Okay, that was that pose. It's challenging to draw large when that's not necessarily my preference, but I think it's better for the stream. Here, this model's seated. It's a lovely pose, though, so we're going to do our best, but the line of action in a seated pose is truncated. There's no way to fully get it represented. At least the way that I do the line of action is it represents more the distribution of the center of gravity. And in a seated or reclined pose, the center of gravity is, or sort of the action of the center of gravity is very, it's conflicted. It's sort of all over the place. It's very tilted away from us. What'll probably happen, and that's just a reality of the type of subject and the source material. I have it set to do all genders, but we'll see. I think the women are well overly represented in the art modeling industry. Just a fact of life, I suppose. The gender pay gap is real but reversed in the art modeling universe. And we're going to draw a lovely little bathing suit on her. Unfortunately spoil her form somewhat, but what can we do? The dominant audience, yeah, definitely. I guess like the I don't know if like the arts, I think maybe in the past arts definitely sort of self-selected for men. I'm not sure if that's this overly the case now anymore. I feel like there are a lot of female artists, and then as a result, I definitely notice more female artists than I used to, and that's good. Like my mom is an artist, for instance. She was a storyboard artist at Disney, and there were basically no female artists where she was. It wasn't like there were none, but it was like they were outnumbered probably 20-1. Compared to that, things feel a lot more like on parity, but it's hard to say. But like if you're if someone is hosting like a figure modeling session and it's got a beautiful woman as the model, that'll probably be well attended and it'll be successful. And if they have a big fat dude at it, it probably won't be well attended and it probably won't be successful. It's just how it is. The economics, supply and demand or whatever, but and yeah, this is another woman, although she appears to be an older woman, and another fit specimen. On this pose, I can barely tell what's happening. It's one of those poses where the body is just essentially draped on the floor. But that's the head. Here's a rib cage. Here's a pelvis. Very lean figure. See all sorts of sinews. Mound of breast tissue. Cover that up real quick. Fold it over her leg. This is like a, what do they call this? Like crow pose or something in yoga? Pigeon. Something like that, right? Bathing suit on her, it might go like that. Kind of a cool pose, though. If I do a good drawing, it's a cool pose. If I don't do a good drawing, it's obviously not my fault. Obviously. I may switch up my drawing tool in a second. Just blame the hand, yeah. Blame the stopwatch. 3, 2, 1. Let's see if this is a good pose. Okay, so this is an interesting pose. Let's pause this. It's like a dual person pose. And what I think I might do is oh, it's still counting. Here, stop. What if I switch up the tool? So this is a similar but different tool. So this is the previous tool. Sort of makes marks like this. And then the other tool that I'm going to switch to is similar, but it's got a gradient edge to it. So this edge is soft and this edge is hard. And what that allows me to do is create a gradient of light that sometimes works better for rendering shadows, depending on the direction of the shadow, of course. Well, let's see what we can do with it. It often I use it for something like a softer representation. This is an interesting... So it's two girls, they're sort of posed with each other. Hey Siri, set a timer for 10 minutes.
10 minutes, counting down.
Okay, we'll give ourselves a little extra time. One of the figures here. Must remember to put clothes on everybody. Bathing suits, no? One of these girls is quite tall. The They're both sort of perched on or near this platform. I'm just going to represent it. Interesting. This is quite the challenging. To me, the angles and the proportions, that matters a lot. Like, I do want the stuff to look accurate if I can. I know it's tricky. Like in the rush to meet the time, I think it's normal to like want to be like, oops, well, I'll just force this to work, and that's fine, I guess, but if it changes too much, sort of, at what point are you just making your own drawing? Which is fine, but draw the obligatory swimsuit. It's getting there. Lovely. Like a body of hair. Really frames her silhouette of her head. So that's awesome. Dark skin. Very hunched over, but it's a cool pose. Okay, that's her. This girl looks like a Russian spy to me. Basically, it's an interesting juxtaposition with the white girl and the black girl. Two different body types. I mean, they're both fit, but one of them is very petite, and the other is almost Amazonian. Full-figured, sort of Rubensian. He's wearing bathing suits. Of course. Can't see a timer, it's on my watch, but any second now it'll go off is what I expect. We'll just go as far as we can. But this is a pretty good representation of what I'm seeing. I appreciate you guys hanging in there for my little... I mean, to me, this is like self-indulgent. This is just like a little, like, max show-off. So I'm a little incredulous that this is even entertaining, but if it is, I'm grateful, because it's, you know, I'm grateful for the audience participation. And there's the timer, so that's not too bad. Here, let's stop this. If we... you know, add it up onto itself. Yeah. Yeah, the Lord of the Rings chill hop or whatever. The lo-fi is it's not bad. My wife is on her way home. I feel like here's a good place for us to call it a stream. We did good. 1 hour, 45 minutes worth of figure drawing. It's pretty admirable. Oh, it even looks good up there. That's good. I mean, it doesn't look great, but it's good practice. It is good practice. I'm glad it's something the world seems to be responding to these days. It's fun to take your time with it too, but figure drawing is one of those things that I'm not entirely sold it's great I don't think it's great anatomical training. I think it's good artistic training because it it humbles you and it becomes you know, it forces you to sort of draw faster than you can think. It forces you to analyze objectively because you have no time to be making judgments. It's split-second decisions and like getting familiar with tools and the human body, all that stuff. And it's such an artistic environment when you can do it in person. I don't think it's necessarily great anatomical training unless you sort of rushing to get out figure drawings like in like 1 minute. Some people do like 30 seconds. That's not enough time to learn anything. Not anything anatomical, in my opinion. But it is a great test of anatomical studies. If you have your head in a book and you've been drawing from pictures and studying the anatomy that way. Did I give her 6 toes? It's a great way to take what you've learned from a book, what you think you might have learned, and then testing it to see if that matches up with real life. And I think that is a great use of the discipline. So there we go. Alrighty, let me do a thumbnail. I know this isn't Zelda stuff, but it's all part of the join max equation, right? Here, I'll do one of these. This will be fun. I'll go like this. Be like, here. Like, don't artists do that, right? They squint, they look at stuff, they're like, if I can figure out how to do this. Something like that, right? Sight sizing. Won't catch me doing that. All right, very good. Guys, thanks for popping by. And anybody else, thanks for studying art with me. All right, so I'll catch you next time. Adios.